So you all know I love me some Masterpiece movie, and my favorite MPM right now is Starscream, but I feel that will change later on this year because, you know, Blackout looks really freaking good. But Starscream was a ton of fun, and it's on clearance a lot, like in a lot of places. So I would say try to pick one up if you can. It's quite a cool figure. I've seen it go in the United States as low as like $90, so I feel like that's very worth it. I'll start with the arms because the meat and potatoes of this set is Frenzy, which I'll get into in more detail later. But there were two main issues I had with Starscream. One, the butterfly joints went out and not in, and two, there were no bicep swivels. Well, this DNA kit gives him the latter, and it's really nice to finally have those, even if the joints are a bit too far down. They are easy to install and they look great on the toy. They're also better painted than the original arms and give it more detail than it had before, which is really nice. And yes, he can still transform with these arms on. I do really like how they look. The elbows are a little too loose on my copy, but I can easily just fix that with some floor polish. You can literally disassemble these arms. That's how you put them on. So there's no problem there. But Frenzy, this is a whole other story. This is far from what he looked like in the film. He was a lot spindlier, he had more arms, and the spikes weren't like sticking out of his back and his arms like that. And the feet were also very different. But that's because this doesn't turn into the boombox Frenzy was in the movie. This is actually an accessory for Masterpiece movie Barricade, which I don't have anymore, but this thing becomes his Dark of the Moon gun, which is pretty neat in all honesty, but because of that, this design gets compromised a lot, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. I do hope we get an actual MPM Frenzy at some point, because we have Sam and Scorponok, so Frenzy please. If I sit this on my shelf and call it Rumble though, that fixes a lot of the design issues in my head, but for a little stand-in till a proper Frenzy comes out, if at all, this ain't bad. But the toy's issues go farther than its design for me. The build quality isn't the greatest. While the plastic feels solid, the joints on my copy are far from perfect. So let's start with the worst one here, the head. The head loves to just look up all the time. If I pop it down, it just flips back up. It's a pain. I have to put it in other angles to get it to stay, which is alright, but the one that seems the most natural to me and how I want to display it, it doesn't stay. The hips on mine are incredibly loose. Easy fix, but worth noting. He will still hold his weight because of how small he is and the fact that this thing weighs nothing, but if you go to pick it up, the figure's legs will just move out of place. The feet are weird too. They don't really fit this toy's look to me. They look more like growths that aren't supposed to be there than actual feet. He stands fine, they just look weird to me. Oh, and they like to pop off quite a bit. He's about core class size, and hey, now that I think about it, now that they brought core class in the Studio Series, they could make a core class Frenzy, and I'd stick that with my MPM toys. Not sure how they'd engineer that though, because that would be a nightmare, but it would still be really cool to see. He is very posable too. He has so many joints, like so many, most of which are for conversion, but there is a lot, like a double neck that doesn't work, butterfly joints, a waist swivel, 3 joints in each foot. You can get him into so many different poses, and he does end up looking pretty cool if his damn head would stay in place. Transforming the toy though is a bit fiddly. The arms don't like tabbing in at all on my copy, and the feet fall off all the time. The head on mine, because of that pop-up issue, won't stay in place, leaving you with this gun mode that just looks alright. It's definitely the gun Barricade had in Dark of the Moon, but if you so much as touch it in the wrong place, it starts coming apart. All I have to do is shave down the tabs and get the ball joints strengthened, but it just doesn't work super well out of the box. And because I don't have Barricade, I don't have anyone to hold this, but that's not the toy's fault. That's just me not having the toy this goes with. So I don't normally display this in gun mode anyways. I do also like the silver plastic that they used all over this toy. It does give that nice sort of metallic feel to it while it also not being entirely covered in silver paint, so there's no paint chipping and there's no extra cost added to that. So I do like the plastic color that they use. It's a neat little set, and if you have both Starscream and Barricade, then it works super well. The best part about the kit for me though is the arms for Starscream, but I can't recommend one without the other because they're sold together. So should you get this, if you have Starscream, then yes, and you get a Frenzy. You would just have to do some repairs out of the box to get everything working right, but as a for now stand-in till a proper Frenzy comes out, it's not that bad. But if you don't have Starscream and you don't have Barricade and you just want a Frenzy, this one, I don't think it would be great, but oh well. It's a neat little set. It's a little expensive if you just have one of the two toys, But Little Frenzy here is neat with a little bit of fixes and mods. Shouldn't have to do those though if you're paying that much. But anyways, that's been my look at the DNA Designs upgrade kit for Starscream and Barricade. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.